You put that, you type that in, you're going to see Jamaica Progressive League, and things will come up that you said, well, why haven't I heard about this? Or if you do know about it, you'd like to know what's going on now. This year is 80 years, and we are celebrating that anniversary. So the first thing I'm going to ask you to do is to come celebrate with us.
Wow, 80 years. So that makes you probably one of the oldest, if not the oldest, Jamaican organization in the New York area.
The oldest in the New York area. I know
Wow.
there's another organization in Boston that's a little older than the league, but it's not operating.
Now, I mean, how does it make you feel, Sadie? Because I know we've had discussions. How does it make you feel when people say they'd never heard of the league and had no idea this organization was in New York City?
Well, sometimes I get a little disappointed, and I'm saying that someone is not doing something right. There was a gentleman, he passed away last year. He was a writer in Jamaica, and I just can't remember his name now. And he did email me a couple of years ago when Jamaica 50 independence 50th anniversary, and he said, I see they're talking about Jamaica 50, but do people really know how that originated? Even speaking of independence, do we know where that originated? Who started the movement and the pioneers of such a movement? It was the Jamaica Progressive League, and he thought that enough is not being said about that organization. So I'd like to pique your interest a little bit. As I said, that organization started here in Harlem, New York in 1936, and its sole purpose was to bring self-government to Jamaica. And as we know, that happened, and followed that was the independence movement.
Now, there were also some very, very famous people who were early pioneers of the Jamaica Progressive League. I know one such person was a gentleman by the name of Ethelred Brown, who was also a contemporary of Marcus Garvey. Is this correct?
Yes, and he was a minister. He was a Reverend Ethelred Brown. And that is when you put his name in, gobs of things will come up that you never knew. And he was the first secretary of the Jamaica Progressive League.
Now, I know that the Jamaica Progressive League has a building in the Bronx at Dyer Avenue. They also had another building in a more select area of New York City.
We had a building at 57th Street. Well, people love to say it was right across from the Russian tea room. So,
Okay, I know what that is. But I'm going to ask you to really speak into your mic, Miss Sadie, because I want to see those levels. You see those levels going up when I speak? That's what I want for you.
Okay, so just remind me. Because
all right.
I'm a novice.
You're a soft-spoken person. You're not a brackish brute like me. Right.
I want this message to get out. So
absolutely.
If I'm not doing it right, just let me know.
You're fine right now. Okay.
So as we say, that building on 57th Street was right across from the Russian tea room. So it was in an area of affluence. And Little Jamaica owning a building in that location.
Wow. That's a big deal.
It was a big deal. And that's why we contrary to what people think, it's not that we lost the building, but we were set up on by others who did not really like the idea of us being there, and they pulled what they call, there was a rent strike, as I understand. I was much too young to know what went on, but there was a rent strike because it was a building with many floors. I think it was it 11 floors? I can't remember, but they had rented it to people who like attorneys and different groups, and at one time there was a rent strike. I even heard that the people who cleaned the building, the janitors or so, went on a strike. So they knew how to kind of crush this movement. And I'd like people to know that once the league was being invested by the FBI. And because as people say, once you're doing something progressive, as people
want to destroy that,
really
absolutely.
Want to, destroy it. And they had help, people who could sometimes infiltrate and
which we know that happened with, of course, Dr. Martin Luther King. Any leader who is emerging in our community that seems to pose a threat of being able to bring the people together for progressive movement, then that leader is targeted. Which is why I always say, for black people to get ahead, we shouldn't have leaders, we should have movements. Because once you cut off the head, then it dies naturally. But if it's a movement, which is why I really support what's going on now with Black Lives Matter. But we digress. We're here to talk about the League. It's an organization that still people don't know very much about. But Marcus Garvey mentioned the Jamaica Progressive League, and I believe also Malcolm X and the Honourable Minister Louis Farrakhan has mentioned the Jamaica Progressive League because this was a forerunner.
Yeah, well, there was, you know how organizations sometimes have conflicts. W.A. Domingo, who was the one of the founders of the League, he was the editor for the Marcus Garvey Negro World, and they had some little differences. So then he left that, you know. And but as I say, someone asked me one day, "Oh well, Domingo did something to Marcus Garvey," and I said, "Let me tell you something. Dr. Garvey, which is Marcus Garvey's son, if I reach out to him today and said, look, we are having problems, which we are at the building, you know, could you, he would be the first one to come to our aid."
Right.
So,
the affinity and the love and respect is still there.
Right. So people should sometimes get over whatever they did in the 1930s, you know, if they had differences. We don't have any differences with Garvey, Dr. Garvey, today.
So what are the plans then, Sadie, for the celebration of this monumental milestone? And 80 years in any organization is one that should be celebrated.
Well, we had a series of events. You know, we had put on, you know, a series of events. So we started with the one at the Country Kitchen, which was the opening of, you know, just to let people know what we were doing. And second, to follow that, we had the Caribbean American Heritage Month.
Right,
you know,
right.
So we did that. It was very successful. And the first one at the Country Kitchen was also very successful. We were supposed to have a beauty pageant.
Now, it's ironic that you should say that because I guess a lot of people don't know that it was the Jamaica Progressive League that started the Miss Jamaica beauty
USA,
pageant.
yes,
Miss Jamaica USA. A lot of people don't know that. And then it got kind of co-opted.
Well, we weren't doing it, and then someone came in and started to work on that. Like I say, it's very nebulous how that went on. So not wanting to accuse
anybody.
anyone.
Well, let's just say that I will say that Ken Williams was then the lead person in terms of putting on that pageant, correct?
Yes,
but it was actually started by the Jamaica
is,
Progressive
yes,
League.
Because Ken used to work for, you know, with the League to be the announcer and whatever he
Right.
did in radio.
Right.
With the League.
Right.
So
but there's currently no Miss Jamaica US pageant, is there?
Huh?
Is there?
He did. It was the Miss Jamaica USA. I think when he did it, he changed maybe the name in some fashion, you know. So that's why when we're doing it, just to avoid any
conflict,
we will just call it Miss Progressive Jamaica.
Oh, I like that idea.
Yes.
So is that the intention of the League then, to start that beauty pageant?
We wanted to restart that, but I don't know if you know, there are other groups who have started some little beauty pageants, you know, and they seem to be doing very well.
Well, I know one of them is actually celebrating her birthday today, and that's Gwen Nix James. She has her Dream Castle pageant, and that was I actually was a participant.
And I know her very well.
I attended the recent competition, and it went very well. I liked what she was doing. So, I mean, I know some people say, oh, you know, beauty pageants are a thing of the past, and it's negative to women. But for our young girls, I think they definitely benefit.
We don't have to say, we can say pageants.
Right, talent pageant, talent competition.
Yes, because, and it's good that they, these women, young women, know that they're beautiful.
Right.
Because for some reason we think because we're Afrocentric, some people think that we are not beautiful, or sometimes people think they're not beautiful in themselves, and they start because of their.
Let's say that there are a lot of negative
Yes,
images out there that our young ladies see, and it's nice to kind of reverse that
to
tradition.
show them that, because I see they're so beautiful, some of these young girls.
Yes. If only they would know it and embrace it.
So we need to bring that back so we can have, even if Dream
Castle
is having theirs,
yes,
we could also complement that because we need to have more.
Right.
And what we're saying in our communities, we are not saying, well, this one is doing this too, so we can't do that, or we shouldn't, or they're copying or they're patting.
Right.
The more we have, the merrier.
Right. Because different people
it.
have different reach.
Yes.
Right.
And
right.
Spread that kind of word so people know that, look, it's a lot of us that are beautiful and lots of us are doing positive
Need to be
things.
in the spotlight.
Right.
I like that idea, Miss Sadie. So what else, what other things are the League doing?
So we're going to have, on the 18th, we'll have the Marcus Garvey birthday celebration. And it's going to be at our building.
In
In the Bronx.
In the Bronx, which is at 2230 Light Street. Okay, so what's that going to entail?
Well, we will have speakers, and we'll have talents, and we'll have all types of things. We'll have speakers who speak to the Garvey.
I'm going to ask you to really speak into
Yes,
that mic.
okay.
Project your voice, Miss Sadie.
Okay.
Come on. When you're
Okay,
shouting at your children when they were younger, I'm sure.
know.
There you go. That's the voice I want to hear.
All right. Well, we, like I say, it's going to be about Marcus Garvey's principles, mainly. And we've kind of been working on that because, and we think we need to be collaborative efforts. Because, for example, Marcus Garvey spoke much about education.
Yes, he
And
did.
what we have done, that there's a Garvey school, I don't know if anyone knows or whomever, but there's a Garvey school in the Bronx, in Co-op City. And the person who have started that school is a friend of mine. So we have linked. So we're going to work through that, so we're going to be collaborating on education. So I'm really pushing that also. It's not a public school. It's private. So there's a cost to that. And sometimes, people say, oh, we can't afford this, we can't afford that. But your children are important.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So we need to, and if we support the school, then they eventually could start to have scholarships in that school. So that's one of the collaborative things, and that will be on the 18th. Now, originally we used to have this celebration at the courthouse, the Bronx courthouse. But the borough president, I've been notified that they're going to be working on the rotunda.
They've been working on that rotunda for about 4 years now.
Period. So we won't be able to operate there.
So did they offer another space?
No, they didn't offer anything else. So we are not going to be. Sometimes we have a level of. We have shame. So we said, nothing is wrong with our space. It might not be as affluent looking, or might not be, whatever. But it's our space, and we need to be proud of our space. And people could come and see the space. It's fully owned by the Jamaica Progressive League.
I mean, that's very impressive. I think in this day and age, where the world and his wife, whenever they're having any event or function, what do? They take that money and give it to somebody else in the community. So kudos to the Jamaica Progressive League for having a building where they can have their own functions.
Even though it's just the space is small, we can fit 50 persons on that floor, but we can. I have had.
But you have a backyard.
100.
You have a backyard space too.
And we have had up to. I'm telling you, we have had space we have had up to 150 people in that space, including the backyard.
Wow.
Because we opened the backyard.
So what's on the program for August the 15th? Is August the 15th?
It's the 18th.
August the 18th. Okay.
The program is not fully planned yet, but we generally love to have drumming, which I will ask you to help me to get some drumming.
I know exactly who I could get for you.
And we have, like I say, it's dealing with the Garvey principles, so people will come and speak on what they're doing.
And I know Brother Jose definitely will be
yes.
there.
And I don't know if you know Duncan.
Mike Duncan,
Mike
of course.
Duncan.
And Dugay, are they both
Duguay.
coming?
Yes,
oh, my goodness.
I think we'll have them because we have collaborated with them.
And that's the way to work. That's the way to work, Sadie. I think that's the way to work. Rather than split, have splinter groups, I think there's solidarity in numbers.
Yes.
They have an excellent program that I listen to during the week, and I love what they're doing. So definitely, I think that's a great move.
So we collaborate with them. Nobody have, they have their program, so we like the program. We have our program, they like ours.
Combine the two.
Yes. Mike also likes the school. So he's dealing with finances. The school is dealing with education. The league is dealing with social and community. So we're linking those. Suppose there was some group that deals with mental health issues, which we think is very
it's vital in our community because there are a lot of people walking around under the yoke of the oppression of mental illness and they're not getting the help that they need. And they're, it's a powder keg waiting to go off.
Yes. So we need to bring those things to our community. So we start a real community, a real society, all those little pieces. So the financial part, which which Duncan is taking care of, I am doing the social part. As a matter of fact, and when we say social, we talk about our people who are incarcerated. That's a part of our community.
But they're forgotten. They're locked away and they're forgotten.
Right. So that is one of our programs this year, going up to the to one of the facilities upstate.
Now, I know that's something that you've been doing for a while, Miss Sadie. What would you like the young people, how would you like to see our younger people getting involved in that movement?
Well, the young people.
No, if you want to reach the young people, you got to speak up to them.
They are affected badly by whatever. And maybe it's something that we did not do. We have
okay, I'm going to open the door for you.
We have this means of not including our young people in what we do. We have to sometimes, they might not want to, but we have to force them. Yeah, and you have to start from, the baby age to include them and start talking about these things. And then they will eventually come along, okay? Also, when they're doing things, it might be a little different from what we do, but we don't discourage them. We just tell them what we're doing and show them what we have done so far. And could they just, see what we're doing and continue in that frame. And then we can include what they're doing, like mesh the old with the new. And so have them participating. And believe me, that works.
So what are your plans to, and my guest for the 8 o'clock hour has arrived, so I'm going to ask him to just hang out for just a second because we were so late because we went to the independence celebration, Jamaica 54, so that church service that took place in Brooklyn. So I'm just catching up with Miss Sadie Campbell, who is the current president of the Jamaica Progressive League. Sadie, how long have you been president now?
A little over a decade.
So, and no actually moves ahead to retire at all.
Right. I tell you, no, I can't because now I'm calling on the young people. Okay, like you say, we need them. So what we plan to do is have a forum at our building, the space that we own, invite some young people so we can talk to them, put out there what we have been doing, the leagues, the activities, and how we have progressed since 1936, because we do need some new
some
ideas,
new blood.
New blood. Well, not the ideas, because we know the ideas, and as one of our leaders have said, Jamaicans in particular, they have no problem with ideas.
That's true.
What we have
the action
is the fixity of purpose.
The fixity of purpose. I like that.
And I think that came from Norman Manley. Fixity of purpose and the continuity of effort. That's
continuity of effort. I like that.
So that's what we plan to do. But we are going to bring the young people in, make a call out for them by social media, of course, and have them come into a forum and discuss what we are doing and see what they want to do, and then we mesh the two.
Right, definitely. I think another way of reaching out to the young people, because I think in most of the organizations that I see around New York City that deal with the Caribbean and Caribbean diaspora, is that the age group, the pool is aging, and I don't see any continuity, any passing of any baton or any grooming of the next generation. So it's something that I task all of these organizations out here. What are you doing to reach out to the younger generation for them to pick up the baton and run with it?
Like I say, programs and forums, because they have to hear you. When they come in, we invite them to come in and have them speak on what they see or what they would like to see. Okay, and sometimes some of them have ideas, sometimes they're just all over the place, so we bring them in, sit them down, and let them just throw out their ideas, and then we can pull from that,
right.
Show them what we have and how we have worked to come so far, because it was a process, and sometimes they think, oh, but you're too slow, whatever, but sometimes it did take a lot of work to get to where we are today, so we can ask them to just look at how we traveled, and they can tell us, and then we are not going to poo-poo them off, because that's what has been happening. And these kids, the young people, they get turned off easily, and then they just go to something else.
Right. So we want to capture them and keep them,
nurture them, and show them where we are going, and then come along with us, and we mesh, like I said, the ideas.
Right. So Sadie, if anyone is listening to our conversation and wants to get in touch with you, or a young person is hearing this and wants to be a part of or to explore what the Jamaica Progressive League is doing, how would they get in touch with you?
They can call me on my numbers, open to everybody.
So say that number loud.
718-994-5496. Again, 718-994-5496.
5496. Okay, great. Okay. All right, so I've typed that in the chat room because I'm going to refer to that number again. So, Sadie, we have just come from the Independence Celebration, which was the church celebration that they have every year for Jamaica's independence. This year, it's Jamaica 54. How has Jamaica progressed? In a nutshell.
Well, in a nutshell.
Since independence.
Well, of course, we got out from under slavery, physical slavery, because the colonialism was a part of slavery,
But, some would say that we haven't really got out from under.
No, because we haven't got out socially and economically. And when the League was founded, they thought really of just the physical getting out where you could have self-government.
Right, but not realizing there are other components.
Even though they might have realized what happened, they're dead, And we who picked up the baton, things were coming so easy to us because they'd paved the way. So we didn't think that we had to do, we just sat back and was enjoying what they left us, like the immigration issue.
Right.
Nobody knew that it was the League who would step forward so that before 1965, so we could be here
to increase the quotas. That was the work of the Jamaica Progressive League, which people don't know that fact, and we need to hammer it home because other people are writing their own history and writing the League out. But Sadie, as always, we never have enough time. I really thank you for running with me from the church service over there at New York Avenue to come to the Conduit Studios, because it's important for me to give back, because I may not be an active member, but I definitely support the League. I have been a board member, I have been an active member, and maybe I need to be an active member again.
Yes, that's all. And this time we are a little more experienced, so we're going to do it, like I said, the forums. So people who have heard the number, they can call me, and if I get a good response, we set up a forum like yesterday.
Okay, so if you want to, if you've heard what Sadie Campbell is saying, I know she's very softly spoken, but she's a wonderful lady, and she really is passionate about helping her fellow Caribbean, not just Jamaican, Caribbean people. And the League is not just a Jamaican organization, even though it fights for Jamaican issues. It fights for Caribbean issues. I mean, the lady that was going to be buried in the Potter's Field, she was Jamaican, right?
Yes, and there were another gentleman too, and that's what, yeah, those two people were Jamaicans. But if people come to us and say, well, look, I have no one to, or if we hear that someone is going to be buried at Potter's Field, we go forward and find out what we could do.
And actually donate burial spaces. So it's not just a Jamaican organization. And certainly the League is a great resource. They have a library, the Carl and Faye Rodney Library, if you want to read about great African leaders or just a quiet space to just sit and meditate. Then the League has that building at Dyer Avenue. Sadie, you're going to have to come back again.
I have to come back
because we're just scratching the surface.
Needs repair, and so we're looking.
We're going to be doing some fundraising. Do you remember the Valentine's parties we used to have at the League building?
Yes.
So we need to, I need to come give you some support again. I don't know. I'm getting old though. So I have Anon here, 878. I don't know who it is, but she's saying Sadie Campbell, indeed, a wonderful progressive lady. And yes, she is such a passionate person, and she puts her money where her mouth is, and she does not get the recognition. I'm very upset, Sadie. At that church service, I noticed that you were not recognized in the service. So I'm sending out a message to the consulate of New York. Please, when people are there, not because people are not pushing themselves up, Sadie Campbell, she's the president of the Jamaica Progressive League. It was very remiss of you not to recognize her in the service this evening. And that's my piece, okay? Sadie's not going to say it, but I will. I was very disappointed about that, because this is an organization that this year is celebrating its 80th year in New York City. So, you know what? Consulate of New York, get on hacks together, as my friend would say.
Well, before there was the consulate, there was the League. Because
there you go. Anyway, okay. It is now 8 o'clock, and my second guest is waiting in the wings. So, Sadie, I'm going to put some music on. And I think it's appropriate. Of course, today was a kind of rush day. And, of course, the CD that I was supposed to bring for you, I forgot to bring it. So let me see if I can find a little bit of music that I think would be kind of more appropriate for the evening. And let me see if I can take it way back. The Conduit show comes with crazy music, right?